Welcome to Faith, Family, and Friends, Pastor Ralph. I'm here with Mike Porlier, and he is either in his vehicle or outside with his phone. I think we've got a pretty good connection. I want to play a little song to start out, Mike, that reminds me of your testimony and your story tonight. Can you hear me all right?
Sure can.
And we can hear you good. So if you recognize this, you're way too young to remember this artist, but I apologize if you're not a country fan, but check this out. Yeah. Pop it on the string. Hold your family name. Got to stand for something. You fall for it. That was Aaron Tippin. Do you remember him? You were too young.
No, I remember.
You do. Good song.
Absolutely.
It really, I had the privilege of actually interviewing him when he was in Concert, Maine a few years ago on his bus. But his words really ring true for your life and what you've recently experienced. And since I've met you and known you since being your pastor for what, 3 years, Amy? We've been here almost 4 years, I guess. Tell us your story. You work for Pfizer, and I want to get right into the weeds of this.
No, I didn't work for Pfizer. I worked for a contractor.
Contractor that was hired by Pfizer, I guess it was. Yeah.
Yeah. So I worked at a contractor, and like a lot of people recently was kind of pushed into doing some things I didn't want to do, either
Sure.
get vaccinated or
Yep.
or test twice weekly. And I knew neither of those things were anything I wanted to do. I wasn't willing to do either of them because it didn't make sense to me.
No, and for what you did for your own research and what you had signed up for, that was not part of the employment contract, I'm sure. And so walk back to when this began and what kind of pressure you had and what you felt the Lord do and using your boldness to stand for what was right, because it couldn't have been easy about providing for your family and the threat of losing a job or being fired or whatnot, and how long the process took, and then where you are with that right now. Because I'm thinking, and I don't want to get ahead of our story, but there's a scripture where it says that God will restore double when we do the right thing. I think it's in Zechariah. So go ahead, Mike.
Well, I think it's funny. One of the things you were saying was, the pressure and the having to take care of a family.
Mm-hmm.
Those were things that people use on me all the time.
Mm.
The idea that you have a family and
Mm-hmm.
you have to take care of them. You have to do the right thing. Well, I was doing the right thing, but
Yes,
I would get told you have to do the right thing, and aren't you thinking of how selfish? You're not thinking about your family. And I thought to myself, I know we will be provided for. I know we will figure this out. If I have to, if we have to, hunt and fish for our food.
You were saying that, yeah.
And if we have to live out in the hunting blind, whatever. I knew regardless we would be fine.
Amen.
So when this actually started, it started at an awkward time. I was actually having my review. I was having a review.
Yeah.
And the review started out with my boss asking me, his words were, "Let me check your temperature on this. How do you feel about these mandates that just came out?" Now, I had my feelings. I had very strong feelings, but I had kept to myself and left people alone, and kind of treated people how I like to be treated, right? Let them have their feelings and beliefs, and I had mine.
Yep.
And so when he asked me that, I told him, not good. Not good at all. I don't feel very good about these things. Why don't you? I said, well, I don't think we know much about. I'm not comfortable with it. It's just, I'm just not comfortable with it yet. I don't know how this is all going to turn out, but it doesn't seem to make a lot of sense why we would have to do this. Numbers wise, it didn't make sense to me.
Wasn't adding up.
yeah, so I said, okay, and we kind of left it at that. He wasn't real happy, but we went through my review, and it was yet another fantastic review.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of went from there. Then a week or so later, he talked with me again, and
Mm.
you and I talked about this. I kind of got a story about being told how he remembers stories from his grandfather telling him about war efforts and
Mm-hmm. Isn't
for
that
the
on your?
greater good, giving
Yeah.
up things, and also they could fight the Nazis. They gave up all these things,
Mm.
and I remember telling him, so that's a great story, man. But in the story you're telling me here in modern day, you're the Nazi, right? You're pushing this on me. I didn't do anything.
Right.
You're telling me I'm dirty, and that I'm a threat to you. I'm no threat to you.
Mm.
So, anyways, it kind of started like that, and it was sad because it took us from a very trusting relationship
Mm.
down a road of just you could just almost see the animosity as I said no, and they said you're going to lose your job, and I said tell me when my last day is,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a yeah it was a strange thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
How long had you been with this contractor, Mike?
I had been there for about a year and a half,
Mm-hmm.
right around a year and a half,
Mm-hmm.
and we were doing great things with what we were
Sure.
doing. I mean,
Yeah.
it was great. I had phenomenal reviews, and I felt really
Mm-hmm.
bad that what was happening. I liked the people I worked with a lot, but I just had to make my. There was a line in the sand, sadly, and
Yeah.
I just knew
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't going to carry on with what they were telling me to do.
You wouldn't have felt comfortable in your own self if you hadn't stood up for what was right. And what kind of example or testimony to your own family would you have been if you hadn't? And they don't think about that when they pressure you with the other aspect where you're not providing for your family. It's not always about the money. Sometimes it's about the conviction. So you provide
Right.
family with an example of a conviction that was rock solid. So take us to the point where they finally let you go, and what happened there with all that?
Yeah, we ended up having a few different talks.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I spoke with human resources and asked questions and tried to get answers. And again, there was some statements, and I got hung up on for so then there were a couple more interactions, and they
Mm-hmm.
were peaceful,
Mm-hmm.
calm, rational questions. But I could see them on the conference. You could see them getting frustrated, so irritated that I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't just do what
Yeah, you
was
would bend.
I wouldn't do it. Why would you not do this?
Mm.
Why would you not do this? Well, because it's not right. So,
Right.
and then, so
Simple.
finally, the last conversation was very short. They
Mhm.
came on, said, "Hey, we've had some discussion internally, and we feel the best thing we can do is just end this relationship." So,
Wow.
oh, okay.
Wow. Mhm. And at that point, you didn't have any um, promises for alternative employment. Uh, just
So,
providing everyone.
no, what I had done though was I've had some ideas, and I had wanted to. I really liked what I did, and I still like what I do currently. But I had wanted to start my own business, so I had started setting things up last fall to start my own company,
Mm-hmm.
and so I got everything underway so I could start doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started doing that almost immediately. And then, um, oddly enough, though, I had a job offer a couple days later after this.
Wow. That's
So
God. Just confirming to you, you had done the right thing, child.
yeah, it was.
God.
And it was from somebody that really all it came down to was
Mhm.
that we had worked together kind of on a team. It was another
Mhm.
company, but it was kind of a large team of us working together from multiple contractors. And
Mhm.
uh, he liked my work ethic
Mhm.
and honesty, and he felt I was a go-getter and learned fast. And um, there was a skill set that he wanted in a position that I had, and he thought that'd be great for the job. And so
Wow.
it went quickly. I never had to apply for a job.
Isn't that something? Wow.
It was neat. It was neat, and
Yeah.
I'm very happy.
Yeah. And so you're doing that at home.
Yep.
right now.
Yep. I work 100% from home.
Yeah, that's that blessing too, when you've got kids and keep your eye on them and everything. So
Yeah, it's been nice.
yeah, sure has. You what exactly do you do? Can you tell our audience?
So it's CAD document control. So I'm working with CAD designers, and
Okay.
we're maintaining the document control for all these drawings,
Mhm.
and just verifying that everything's accurate.
Yeah, that's
So
awesome.
it's something that's probably very boring to a lot of people, but
Yeah,
for me, I have OCD, and
yeah,
it fits very well with what I do because
yeah. Well,
things
my
have to
son-in-law
be,
would love it because he is done
yeah,
CAD as an
yeah,
engineer too. Yeah.
things
So
have to be a certain
yeah,
way, and if they're not,
yeah.
and I get to, make sure that they are right. So
Troubleshoot
I
it.
like it. I
Yeah,
like it.
that's awesome. Wow, so good. So where do you think our in a closing couple of questions, where our nation is? You see more people standing up now when they view or see people like yourself paving the way or leading the way and not capitulating or giving in to government dictates. Let's just say what it is. Um,
Yeah.
I see the tide turning in some sense, at least in terms of people that may not have thought to stand up. Maybe hey, they had their head in the sand a little bit, and they're finally realizing that this is not right.
Well, it's not.
Your country
And
going that way. Yeah.
it's about much more than somebody
Mm-hmm.
getting sick. Also,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
that has nothing to do with it, really.
Right.
Um, I see that I've seen people willing to stand up for quite a while, but you didn't see anything or hear anything about it on the
In the
media.
media.
So
Yeah.
I knew this because um, of a large network of people
Mm-hmm.
that like-minded people that discuss
Right.
this
Yeah.
openly and
Mm-hmm.
open. It's kind of like speaking, right, in the old days where there's a crowd and you would shout it out and the crowd would shout it back, and that would carry back to people in the back. It's kind of like that, except
Yeah.
online. You're sharing
Right.
this and shouting it to other people, and they're shouting it further back.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. There's a large network of people that are sharing these ideas and what's going on and information, and
Mm-hmm.
but now it's becoming more widespread,
Mm-hmm.
and you cannot hide these
No,
things
you can't.
anymore because it's gotten
No.
so big.
What do you think that it made people, especially, and I think we both have had our conversations and conversations, mild or strong, with fellow believers, brothers and sisters in Christ, who, at least from our perspective, where you and I stand, and I know people that may be watching and listening tonight, who, for lack of a better phrase, seem to have wanted to stick their head in the sand, and instead of looking at all sides and at least giving people the benefit of the doubt to have your own view or conviction, and using what we call, some people call virtue signaling, making you feel bad for what we haven't seen all the science yet. So why do people do that? Why do you think that they right away, some people just sort of took that easy road?
I think people do it. They want to feel that they're doing right. I don't think people do it
Just
necessarily on purpose,
right.
out of malice or anything. I just think that
Yeah.
they want to do right. You see it all the
Right.
time. Look at me on Facebook. I got my vaccine. Look
Yeah.
how great, I did my part. They
Yeah.
want people to know that they did their part. I know a lot of people right now are saying, look at Ukraine, I'm with Ukraine. Well, why? Why are you? You know what I mean? Do you know why, or does it just seem popular to say that right now?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? There's people there that are innocent and missionaries and things like that have nothing to do with what's going on, but there's a lot of bad things that have been going on for a long time that maybe we should learn a little more than what you're being spoon-fed by the media that's been lying to us for the last 2 years with a lot of other things. Why would you choose to believe them?
Exactly. It's so easy to go with the emotion of the moment, or as some have said, get on the bandwagon, and then when you do that, you don't take the time to check all information.
Right.
And I think people also allow themselves, they don't want to They don't want people to think that they're in the crowd with the people who would have the antennas on. And so, which it's not true. We know that because people have looked at it a lot more studiously who are on that side than those who pretend to have looked at all sides.
But the people need to understand, though, I mean, right? So if you're a Christian, right, if these are your beliefs, right, and if you believe anything in the Bible and you are not of this world, then what do you care what this world thinks?
Exactly. That's right. We shouldn't be caring.
Right. And I you've known me for a while. I really don't care.
Right.
And, you know what I mean? I know I offend people and stuff, and that's tough for them. It's not tough for me.
No. And people need to know that that isn't your initial motive or anyone that wants to stand for what's right, but because the line or the issue has been pressed upon us from the other side is why people have had to stand up. And thank God for people like yourself who stood up for what was right. I think of grace to you and Panorama City, California, Dr. John MacArthur, who stood up for what was right, and he was vindicated. The government tried to sue him for keeping church open during that time. And of course, as many people know, California is very progressive and leans very left with the whole COVID vaccination thing. And he won his case and knew he would. But I mean, I'm sure he faced tremendous opposition. But examples like that, I think, encourage us all to stand up for truth and not worry about the consequences. Because as the song said, we started out with, you've got to stand for something or you'll fall for anything. Unfortunately, so many people are afraid to stand for something. And, you know, I had people early on, and you probably did too, who were drawing the conclusion, well, when it comes to my faith, I'll stand up. If the government tells me with issues regarding my faith, then I'll stand up for. But right now, I mean, how are you gonna have the behavior choices already inculcated and what should I say, practiced? When that comes to pass, if you're not standing up for what's right, I don't know. In fact,
I don't know. I remember seeing that and that sort of thing. Although this is also very unpopular, it reminded me of people that used to talk a lot and say, "Well, you know, if that guy was gonna get mad and punch me, well, then I was gonna do something about it." Well, not me. I'm gonna punch you first.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna wait for you to come at me.
Right.
We're gonna. You can, you know, we'll figure it out later or something.
I see a lot of parallels. I think you do too. I haven't read Bonhoeffer's biography by Metaxas, but the whole time period of Nazi Germany and the condition of the church at the time. And Hitler wasn't a fool. Some of the most evil people have been the smartest.
Brilliant.
And you've said that before in our conversations. He knew what he was doing slow. It's like, again, the frog in hot water. Sure. Although actually, literally, somebody did that, didn't work. So they're not that stupid frogs. But he knew, and the church slowly caved in until it came to their faith. They weren't ready, and then Bonhoeffer, being a pacifist initially, God worked on his heart, and he knew that he had to try to take Hitler down, and that was why he ultimately was arrested and hung for his crime against Hitler. But there's a lot of parallels, or I hope there isn't any more. I hope our country returns to right thinking and using your faith. I mean, again, it's apples and oranges. We live in a country that has constitutional freedoms. And if we don't stand for them, again, why do we think that we stand for our faith if we're willing to capitulate about our constitutional freedoms? And what does it mean for all those forefathers, our loved ones who fought in World War I, World War II? I mean, all the way back, you know, for the freedoms that we enjoy today that we're willing to give up. So, well,
it's a time where, you know, they say that hard times build strong men, right?
Yeah, hard times. Well,
we've been on easy times for a long time.
Too easy.
We've just, and you know, they say don't feed the bears. Don't feed the deer, they won't learn how to take care of themselves. Well, that's what we're doing. Everybody's getting fed. Everybody in the US, not everybody, but many, many, many have such an easy road that they've gotten so comfortable.
Yes.
And that they will just do whatever they have to do to keep that level of comfort. They don't want to be uncomfortable. That's why they don't work hard. Many don't work hard. They will stay in that same job, you know, as long as they can stay there, even though they're not making any money, just because it's easy, and they don't drug test them, or they don't whatever, you know, they don't push them hard, or don't care that they're 10 minutes late every day. They'll just stay there forever, instead of fighting hard and saying, look, I'm going to stay clean. I'm going to get there early. I'm going to work hard. I'll work overtime. I'm going to prove what I can do. I'll get specialized classes or something under my belt, get some certifications. Nobody wants to do that. So they will give up. They'll give up all their freedoms for comfort.
And sure will.
You're seeing it with a lot of people.
Yeah, and we've lowered the bar, the standard for so many things. I remember telling my sons years ago, if we lose the work ethic in America, we've lost everything. That, to me, that's value to have been lost. We've compromised so many of our own values, and I hope that doesn't happen. But boy, it slowly seems to be going that way. You can't go. We went somewhere to eat tonight, and you couldn't eat inside. I mean, I'm sure it wasn't the COVID issue, because that seems to be petering out, but not enough workers, not enough.
Lack of staff, right?
Lack of staff. People don't want to work, or they've got.
Well, and look what they're doing in schools. You know, currently in schools, like up in Caledonia, right? They're doing away with grades. That's
crazy. Wow.
You know, there's places that are doing away with grades. They're not going to have a valedictorian any longer, right?
Yeah, you don't want them to feel bad. Yeah, not fair.
Who cares if somebody, you know what I mean? Like, who cares if they feel bad? Study hard.
There's something else they can do, or study hard enough. You want it. Exactly. So good talking to you, Mike. Wow. We need to do this again on another subject, but this is probably the first interview we've done, Amy, where somebody might call it political, but I don't like it when they do that, because here's what I tell people when they say, well, don't get political. I say to them, I'm not getting political. The issue is a moral issue, and it's become politicized. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's the morals. And if we don't stand up for morals, and we allow people to politicize them, then it's not us who've pushed the envelope. It's the other side that's pushed the envelope. And we can't afford to back down. Your kids, my grandkids, our next generations will suffer because of it. And they'll wonder where we were. You know, thank God that your three kids will not have to wonder, how come Dad didn't stand up? Because you did.
Right. And I said that. I actually said that to people out loud. At least my kids will know I stood up.
That's good. And they see that. And I've noticed how bold that they've been able to be with their peers and in their school system. So,
right.
Mike, thank you for coming on board tonight, and give our love to your family, and hope that Kara's car works and starts up.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. God bless you, brother. We'll talk Sunday.
Yep. Love you guys. Talk to you soon.
Thanks.